I decided to buy nothing for 30 days. And this is what happened. I thought this would be so easy, but the process ended up surprising me. So I'll share with you how it went, my rules that I followed, if I failed or succeeded, and I'll also share my biggest takeaway at the end of this video. Now, the reason why I decided to do this challenge is I honestly just wanted to see if I could do this. Being on this minimalism journey, I thought this would actually be super easy for me, and I thought actually I don't really buy that much anyway, which I will say I have decreased my shopping a lot in the past year or so. But yeah, I did want to kind of prove to myself that I could actually do this. I could go for 30 days without buying things other than, necessities and things like that. And through decluttering my home and through this challenge as well, I feel like I'm kind of slowly changing my relationship with shopping. And I was starting to realize during kind of June and July that seeing all of the summer items and things people were sharing on social media actually kind of made me feel a bit of that pressure and a bit of that influence to buy summer items. I felt like, maybe I should buy something for our upcoming holiday, which we had in August, or just influenced to buy summer things in general. So I wanted to put a stop or at least a 30-day pause on all of that. And even though this wasn't my main motivation, it's always good to save some money, isn't it? Not buying things is my second source of income. That's a quote by Shira Gill, a fellow minimalist who I love to follow. Now, everybody's got a bit of a different no-buy or low-buy kind of month. I will share with you my rules that I decided to follow. Obviously, we still bought things like groceries and things that we really need, but these are my rules of things that I didn't want to buy during August. So no makeup, no new skincare or any sort of beauty product, no accessories, no shoes, no clothes, and just no unnecessary purchases basically. And I did have one exception on my list, except if I run out of daily products, like, something that I actually use on a daily basis and I need. So are you curious to see if I actually did it or not? So I have made a full table for each day of August to kind of track if I was, sticking to it, if I failed, if I had any slip-ups, and if I was even tempted or influenced to buy anything. I feel like straight away I started being tempted to buy things. So August 1st, I wrote down that I was tempted to buy packing cubes that I saw on Instagram. We were planning for our upcoming trip to Romania. I was seeing these all over Instagram, and I'm not saying they're not useful, but I decided I'm not going to buy them for now, and I will see maybe next year or, whenever we travel next time. And going traveling, I realized that because we packed quite light, I actually didn't feel the need for packing cubes, but I'm actually glad I didn't make that purchase because it might not have been that necessary anyway. August 2nd, I was really tempted to buy a new set of shampoo and conditioner after seeing an influencer or two, I think, sharing that. Obviously, they had a brand deal with them, and they did a really good job convincing me that it's a good shampoo and conditioner because I was this close to buying it. So I put it on my wish list. Maybe I will further down the line, but no, I haven't bought it. And I also have this rule that if I have a shampoo and conditioner in my, bathroom, I'm not gonna go out and buy another one until I finish that. So that came in really helpful to kind of, slow down my impulse buying at that moment. Then I did pretty well for the next week or so. And August 10th, I actually wanted to buy Ali Abdul's productivity book. So I added that to my wish list instead because I already had a book I was reading. It's still on my nightstand. So I decided I'm gonna read that book, and then when I'm finished, I'll order Ali Abdul's book. Then August 15, I was tempted by a fall throw or like an autumn throw that I saw on Instagram. Now I do think we need a new throw downstairs in the living room because one of them is very old and kind of falling apart a bit, but I didn't buy it because I just wanted to pause that, so I'll put it on my wish list as well. Now, August 17th, I did buy a mascara replacement because I had run out of my previous mascara. And that was, kind of one of my exceptions. Then August 18th to August 26th was really good. I wasn't really tempted much. August 27th, we were actually away and I was this close to buying a new bag. I almost forgot about the challenge. I was planning on swapping my current changing bag because it's quite massive. My baby's a bit older now, she's a toddler, and so I didn't feel like I needed that massive changing bag anymore. So I wanted to buy a smaller one, and I was like, okay, let's at least wait until September, give myself a bit of cooling down and see if I still want that changing bag. And spoiler, I did buy it now in September, but not in my no-buy month. And yeah, as you can see from the rest of the table, I was actually successful at this, but I was very tempted quite a few times to buy things, and sometimes I feel like we buy things without even consciously thinking about it too much, or at least that's what was in my case. And here are a few things I learned from doing this no buy month. Number one is that I stopped scrolling so much, and I especially stopped scrolling on Amazon so often. We didn't make any purchases on Amazon during August, and I realized if I'm feeling tempted to buy something, it's just best not to go on those apps and to kind of reduce my scrolling, because that's a big influence on me. The second thing that I kind of took away from this is that having a wish list, which I've done for a long time now, it really helps. So anytime I wanted something and I didn't buy it straight away, I put it on my wish list, just a list on my phone, or take a picture. After a while, I realized for some of those items, I actually didn't want them anymore. They were just an impulse, and had I bought them at that moment, I probably would have regretted it further down the line. I also noticed kind of the time when I was the most tempted to buy things, and I realized I was most tempted to buy things when I was scrolling on Instagram, and that was usually in the afternoon or in the evenings when my kids go to sleep. And I'm also in kind of an emotional state because, usually at the end of the day, I'm quite tired. And so that was a real eye-opener for me, that's when I'm kind of most fragile, I would say, or vulnerable to being influenced to buy things. Another thing I noticed is the research time. So whenever I wanted to buy an item, I would spend some time just researching the product or researching the best product in that category. And that can actually be quite time consuming. So I do feel like doing this challenge made me realize that and kind of gave me a bit of my time back, which obviously it's so precious. I did notice at times that I kind of felt this need to justify to myself, a purchase or like a future purchase. Well, of course I need this because of that. And I think once we're influenced and we get this kind of desire to buy something, our brains start to justify that to ourselves. And so it really helped me to kind of pause and think, okay, maybe I need this, but I can wait a few weeks or I can wait a few days to make a proper decision. One thing I found really helpful in sticking to this no buy month is to make it really hard to slip. I learned this from Atomic Habits. I did a whole video on things I learned from Atomic Habits, the book. It's brilliant. I will link it down below. But when you're trying to build a new habit, it's really important to make it really hard to slip up. So for me, I tried to avoid going to shops unless it was necessary, like a grocery shop, but I tried to avoid just kind of browsing the aisles because this meant that I was less likely to actually see and start to desire items. The next thing I took away is that I really want to be more intentional. I feel like I've done a pretty good job in the past year or so, but I want to go even further. And going into autumn now, I realized I actually have a lot of the items that I want in my wardrobe already, in my kind of capsule wardrobe. So I don't really need to buy that much. I've been really trying to kind of find my style, find the things that I'm comfortable with, and just sticking to those, rather than feeling constantly, the need to keep up with new trends coming up. And I've also been trying to go on Vinted first. If I need to buy a new raincoat, I want to go on Vinted first and buy it from there rather than going straight for a new item. What also helped me stick to this challenge is to try and distract myself. So instead of, spending that time scrolling or researching products that I could buy, I instead spent that time working on my business, to be honest. So working on my YouTube videos, working on my blog. I've actually caught up to date with a lot of things on my blog and a lot of admin things I had to do. So yeah, it really goes to show that we probably spend more time than we realize just researching products and looking for things to buy. That was an eye-opener for me as well. And my biggest takeaway from all of this is that I got to observe how my emotional state influenced that desire to buy something. Sometimes I would feel the urge to go and look for items to buy, even though I had no real need for them. I guess it's just that learned, endorphin rush that we get when we buy something. And so a lot of the times I wasn't actually craving the item, I was craving the feeling of buying an item, if that makes sense. So just kind of that endorphin and that high that you get when you buy a new product. And one tip that was really helpful for me here is to look at an item that I had bought recently and think about how I felt about that item when I was desiring to buy it versus after I bought it, right? So now that I own it. And for a lot of those products, the feelings that we have after we buy them, after we own them, it's actually not that special anymore. And so that perspective kind of helped me in taking that pause and following through with the challenge. Have you ever done a no buy month? I would love to hear from you. Let me know any tips that you have, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.